What if I told you that the most powerful love story in Monaco wasn't written by royals, but by a man named Zeus and the mysterious woman the world calls the Hidden Queen? In a city where diamonds sparkle brighter than stars and loyalty is rarer than gold, their romance wasn't just about passion, it was about empire. Together, they built a world where every yacht, every penthouse, and every whisper of luxury carried their initials. But what really happened behind those golden doors of Hotel de Paris? How did two souls turn wealth into something far greater, a love that redefined what power means in the billionaire circle? Some say it was destiny, others say it was strategy. Tonight, we're stepping inside their $500 million love story, one that's as breathtaking as it is untold. So, before we uncover the secrets behind Zeus and his hidden queen, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay until the end, because the truth behind this empire of love will leave you questioning what money can't buy. It began on a night when Monaco itself seemed to hold its breath. The Hotel de Paris was glowing in gold, crystal chandeliers shimmering like captured stars, and the air thick with quiet luxury. Every guest there was someone, a royal, a magnate, a name that could move markets. But when Zeus walked in, conversation softened, cameras tilted away, and a different kind of silence filled the room. The silence that follows power. Across the ballroom she appeared, the Hidden Queen. Not on a stage, not under a spotlight, but in a way that made people look twice without knowing why. She wasn't chasing attention, it came to her naturally, like gravity. Dressed in understated elegance, she carried herself with a calm that even the wealthiest envied. They say Zeus noticed her before she noticed him. But when their eyes met, something shifted. The kind of moment that happens once, but rewrites everything after. A brief conversation about art, a quiet laugh over champagne, and an unspoken understanding. Two people who didn't need introductions, only recognition. Those who were there remember the energy changing that night. The music slowed. The city outside sparkled a little brighter. And for the first time, Zeus, the man known for his control, precision, and solitude, looked almost human. From that evening on, Monaco would never see him the same way again. Because what started as a glance would soon become a partnership that blurred the line between love and legacy, a connection powerful enough to reshape their empires and perhaps their destinies. But behind every great encounter lies a secret. Was it fate that brought them together, or design? They called her the Hidden Queen long before anyone knew her name. In a world where every move is photographed and every smile dissected, she somehow remained invisible, and that made her irresistible. While Monaco's socialites posed for the lenses, she mastered the art of silence. No interviews, no scandals, no headlines, just a trace of perfume in the air and the sound of her heels echoing through the marble halls of Hotel Hermitage. Rumors began to spread, each one more fascinating than the last. Some said she was an heiress from the Middle East. Others whispered she was a genius investor who turned fortunes quietly behind the scenes. A few believed she was connected to the art world, moving millions through galleries no one had ever heard of. But the truth was always out of reach. Like the shimmer of the Mediterranean at dusk, close enough to see, impossible to hold. Those close to Zeus noticed a change. The man who once measured life in deals and deadlines began to slow down, attending gallery openings instead of board meetings, spending nights aboard his yacht instead of at business dinners. Every appearance they made together carried the weight of mystery and magnetism. She never spoke to the cameras, yet every camera found her. Insiders described her as his calm in the storm, a woman who didn't just complement his empire, but redefined it. She guided him away from excess toward refinement, away from spectacle toward legacy. And perhaps that was her greatest power, influence without exposure. Still, Monaco thrives on secrets, and as their bond deepened, curiosity around her identity grew louder. Who was she really? A visionary, a strategist, or the quiet architect behind Zeus's rise to something greater than wealth? Relevance? For every answer whispered in the night, 10 more questions took its place. But one thing was certain. She was no mere companion. She was the hidden pulse of an empire that glittered brighter with every passing day. And as their names began to merge into a single legend, Zeus and his queen, one question lingered in every mind. If she could reshape a billionaire's world from the shadows, what else was she capable of? Every love story has a turning point. For Zeus and his hidden queen, it was the moment they decided to build not just a life together, but an empire. What began as quiet admiration soon transformed into partnership, strategy, and vision. In Monaco, where fortunes are flaunted and loyalties shift like tides, they created something different, a fortress of elegance built on trust and ambition. Their first project was a bold move, the acquisition of a century-old villa overlooking Port Hercule. Most saw it as another luxury purchase. In reality, it became the blueprint for everything that followed, a symbol of power wrapped in art. The queen oversaw every detail, from the marble flown in from Carrara to the bespoke chandeliers crafted in Venice. To Zeus, she wasn't just designing a home, she was designing their identity. Soon after came the investments, silent but seismic. Private holdings in Monaco's most prestigious developments, stakes in boutique hotels along the Riviera, and a private collection of contemporary art rumored to exceed $100 million. Each move was precise, quiet, and impossibly elegant. Together, they turned wealth into language. And Monaco was listening. While others measured success in headlines, they measured it in legacy. Every new venture carried their subtle signature, Z&Q. The world started to notice, not through words, but through whispers. Who were they really? Lovers, business partners, or visionaries rewriting the rulebook of luxury itself? Inside their circle, friends described their synergy as flawless. He provided the vision, she shaped the execution. He moved mountains, she drew the maps. And beneath it all was an understanding. Power isn't about owning more, it's about influencing quietly. But as the empire expanded, so did the spotlight. The line between privacy and fascination began to blur. Cameras started chasing what the world wasn't supposed to see. And in a kingdom built on mystery, exposure was the one thing they couldn't afford. Because every empire, no matter how golden, comes with a cost. Imagine waking up to the sound of waves brushing against a private yacht, sunlight filtering through silk curtains, and the Monaco skyline glistening like liquid gold. That was the morning routine of Zeus and his hidden queen. Their world wasn't just luxurious, it was curated perfection, a daily masterpiece where every detail whispered wealth but never screamed it. Breakfast might be served on the deck of their 250-foot super yacht, Eternity, with a panoramic view of Port Hercule, a harbor lined with the world's most expensive floating palaces. By noon, a helicopter would lift them toward Cannes or Saint-Tropez, chasing the Mediterranean sun. Evenings often unfolded inside the gilded halls of Monte Carlo's Hôtel de Paris, where the chandeliers reflected their world back to them, bright, flawless, untouchable. But beyond the glitter, there was something deeper, a lifestyle crafted as art. The queen orchestrated every moment with quiet precision. She believed true elegance wasn't about owning everything, but knowing exactly what to choose. Her wardrobe blended simplicity and statement, her gestures calm yet commanding. Whenever she entered a gala, the crowd didn't just see her, they felt her presence. For Zeus, wealth was never the goal. It was the medium. He turned experiences into symbols, a diamond-studded watch marking a new business milestone, a rare painting gifted to her as a promise of loyalty. Their love became performance and legacy all at once, the kind of romance that blurred the line between intimacy and influence. Behind closed doors, they kept their circle small, their moments private, their empire immaculate. Yet the world couldn't look away. To Monaco's elite, they weren't just another billionaire couple, they were mythology come alive. And every yacht that sailed past theirs, every camera that caught a glimpse, only added to the legend. But beneath perfection, something was beginning to shift. The whispers grew, too polished, too powerful, too flawless to be real. In a place where luxury hides every secret, one question started to echo through the Riviera's golden corridors. How long can even the brightest gold hide its cracks? Every empire has a ruler, but not all rulers sit on the throne. Behind Zeus's dazzling fortune and flawless public image was a quiet force shaping every move: the hidden queen. If Zeus was the lightning, she was the calm that directed where it struck. Her influence wasn't loud or visible, but it was absolute. The queen understood something that few in Monaco ever could. True power doesn't need attention, it commands it naturally. While others fought for headlines, she curated silence. Her strategy meetings happened over candlelit dinners, her decisions whispered in hallways where only trusted voices could hear. When Zeus expanded his portfolio into art tech, sustainable luxury, and global philanthropy, insiders knew those weren't his ideas alone. They were hers. She had the mind of an economist and the instinct of an artist. Under her guidance, Zeus's empire evolved from indulgence to intention. The lavish displays turned into brand statements. The investments once driven by status began aligning with purpose: environmental projects, art foundations, and innovation hubs carrying the Z&Q insignia. To the public, it looked like transformation. To those inside, it was a quiet takeover. Even the way Zeus presented himself changed. Gone were the flashy cars and extravagant galas. In their place came minimalist elegance, the kind that whispers, "I own the room," without saying a word. That shift was her signature. She taught him that influence wasn't about being seen, it was about being felt. And yet, the more she shaped the empire, the more invisible she became. The world adored Zeus, but never asked who stood behind him. She didn't mind, that was her design. After all, in a kingdom of mirrors, the one who controls the reflection controls the world. But influence always comes with a price. The greater her power grew, the more fragile the balance became, between love and leadership, devotion and dominance. And soon, the whispers around Monaco began to change tone. Was she building an empire with Zeus, or quietly preparing to rule it herself? Every empire that shines too brightly eventually casts its own shadow. For Zeus and his hidden queen, perfection wasn't just a goal, it was an expectation. Every appearance, every smile, every glance between them became a performance for the world's most watchful audience. They had built a love story so flawless, even the smallest imperfection felt like a scandal waiting to happen. Behind the golden doors of their penthouse overlooking Port Hercule, life was a delicate choreography. Assistants moved quietly, schedules were timed to the minute, and privacy became their most valuable currency. Yet even silence couldn't protect them from curiosity. The press began speculating, not with facts, but with fascination. How do they do it? What are they hiding? Is perfection even real? For the queen, the pressure was invisible but immense. Every gesture was analyzed, every absence questioned. She had designed an empire where nothing went wrong. But living inside that illusion came with its cost. Zeus too began to feel the strain. His once spontaneous charm turned cautious. His eyes, once filled with curiosity, now carried calculation, the constant awareness that someone, somewhere, was always watching. They started traveling more frequently, disappearing for weeks on their yacht, avoiding cameras, avoiding questions. What was once freedom began to feel like escape. Even in the middle of the sea, surrounded by beauty and silence, the queen would look at the horizon, and for the first time, wonder if all of this was still theirs, or if they now belonged to the image they'd created. Because the higher perfection climbs, the harder truth falls, and the cracks were beginning to show, subtle, hidden beneath designer smiles and diamond flashes, but real nonetheless. Those close to them whispered of disagreements, of long silences over dinner, of two people trying to protect both their love and their legend. In Monaco, perfection is adored, but it's also hunted. And for Zeus and his queen, the question was no longer how to stay flawless, but how to stay real. Because even the most beautiful masks eventually become too heavy to wear. Every legend reaches a moment when silence says more than words. For Zeus and his hidden queen, that moment came quietly. No headlines, no confrontation, just distance. The kind of distance that doesn't happen overnight, but grows slowly, like shadows stretching at sunset. They began appearing separately at events. Zeus would arrive at charity galas alone, shaking hands with politicians and partners, his charm perfectly rehearsed. The queen, meanwhile, was seen less and less, choosing privacy over publicity, reflection over recognition. To outsiders, it seemed deliberate. To those who knew them, it felt inevitable. Their empire still functioned like a flawless machine. The businesses thrived, the foundations expanded, the brand Z&Q remained unshaken. But behind the efficiency was a quiet truth. Love had given way to legacy. The queen once said, "Real power isn't about what you own, it's about what remains after you're gone." Perhaps she understood earlier than anyone that empires built on emotion eventually need structure to survive. For Zeus, the separation wasn't rebellion, it was preservation. He believed stepping back would protect both of them from the noise, from the constant scrutiny that had begun to suffocate their story. But even in separation, their connection lingered. Monaco still felt their presence. In every art gala they once hosted, every yacht that glided past the coast, every whisper of what happened to them. And maybe that was the point. Some loves aren't meant to end, they're meant to evolve into myth. In many ways, the queen remained the architect of his image, the silent guardian of his empire. She may not have stood beside him in photographs, but her influence still shaped the world he walked through. Those who saw them apart said there was no bitterness, only melancholy. Two people who had built perfection, now learning how to live without it. And perhaps, in that quiet distance, they found something purer than the luxury they once shared: freedom. But freedom has a strange price. Because when love fades into legend, what remains, the heart or the empire? Every great love leaves behind more than memories. It leaves an echo. For Zeus and his hidden queen, that echo became legacy. Even after their presence faded from Monaco's spotlight, their influence remained stitched into the very fabric of the city, in its architecture, its art, and its spirit of silent power. The first sign of their legacy appeared in the marble facade of the Zeus residence, a breathtaking landmark overlooking the harbor. Locals say the building itself feels alive, designed not just for wealth, but for meaning. The queen had insisted that every curve, every beam of light reflect serenity, not status. It wasn't simply real estate, it was philosophy built in stone. Then came the Eternity Foundation, a philanthropic venture that quietly reshaped Monaco's softer side. Instead of charity for publicity, it focused on long-term projects, education, conservation, and cultural preservation. Insiders revealed that it was the Queen's final project before she withdrew from public life. Her goal wasn't to be remembered, but to ensure that beauty and purpose remained intertwined long after she was gone. As for Zeus, his empire continued to thrive, but differently. The parties stopped, the displays of grandeur faded, and in their place grew a quiet kind of prestige. He became less of a figure and more of a symbol of evolution, of restraint, of someone who had learned that true luxury is peace. Monaco, the city of excess, began to follow their example. Art galleries replaced casinos as conversation pieces. Collectors turned philanthropists. Even the young elites whispered that the era of loud wealth was ending, and that the couple who started it all had rewritten the definition of power. Still, their story was unfinished. Some say the Queen still visits Monaco in winter, walking along the marina at dawn, her face hidden under a wide hat. Others claim Zeus keeps a portrait of her on his yacht, the only piece he never loaned to a museum. Whether myth or truth, their connection continues to haunt the Riviera's golden skyline. Because in the end, the greatest empire isn't measured in gold or stone, it's measured in memory. In the end, the $500 million love story of Zeus and his hidden queen isn't just about wealth. It's about what happens when love dares to build an empire, and when two souls decide that their story should outlive their presence. They showed the world that true luxury isn't measured in diamonds or yachts, but in legacy, in the mark you leave behind when the spotlight fades. Maybe their love didn't end. Maybe it simply transformed, from passion into purpose, from empire into eternity. And in Monaco, where legends never truly disappear, their names still echo between the waves and the marble walls they once called home. If this story moved you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel Inside the Billionaires, and turn on the bell so you never miss another untold chapter from the world of power, elegance, and mystery. Thank you for watching until the end. Your time, your attention, and your curiosity are what keep this journey alive. Until the next story. Stay inspired, stay curious, and remember, some empires are built not on money, but on love that never fades.